All right, so today we're going deep on something I think a lot of folks have probably tried at some point, journaling.
Yeah.
But we're not just talking about like, jotting down what you had for lunch.
Right.
This is about using journaling to heal and grow as a person.
Absolutely.
And we've been looking at some really interesting stuff about like how this actually works.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping by the end of this, we'll all have a better sense of like, what are the real benefits, why it can be tough to stick with sometimes.
Right.
And how like the right tools can actually make a huge difference.
I think that's key, having the right tools.
Yeah. So when we talk about journaling for healing, one thing that really jumps out from the research is how your journal can become like this totally safe space, like no judgment, to just like process all those tough emotions.
It's so important to have that safe space.
And work through past experiences, even the really heavy stuff.
Yeah, and it's not just about having a space. It's like actively using that space to make sense of things.
Okay, so how does that work? Like what's...
Well, think of it like like you're creating a container for your emotions. Sometimes when we have these really intense feelings or like something big happens, it can just feel completely overwhelming.
Yeah.
And unresolved.
You just push it down.
Right. And journaling is a way to like pull those things out.
Okay.
Put them on paper. And when you do that, it's like you get some distance from them.
Okay.
You can start to see them more objectively.
I see what you're saying. So instead of it just being like, hey,
exactly,
this swirling mess in your head, it's like, okay, now
you can look at it.
It's out there. I can look at it.
You can analyze it.
Yeah. What do you think is like the biggest benefit of that? Like getting that clearer view?
I think for me, it's how journaling can reveal patterns in your emotions.
Interesting.
You might not even realize like how you always react a certain way in certain situations.
Right.
Until you see it written down over and over.
Like, oh, every time my boss does that, I get stressed out.
And then you can start to ask yourself, like, why is that happening?
Yeah. That's so true. I've noticed that in my own journaling too, and the research we looked at. It also talked about how putting those emotional wounds into words, like actually writing about them, can make them less intense.
It's almost like by acknowledging them, you take away some of their power.
It's like you're facing it head on instead of letting it fester.
And that's a huge part of healing, right?
Yeah, totally.
Going from feeling overwhelmed to understanding and then eventually moving forward.
That makes sense. And it makes me think about, how important it is to have a journal that actually feels like a safe space, like physically feels inviting.
Absolutely.
And that's something I really like about Listalian journals. They use this soft faux leather cover.
Yeah, so nice to touch it.
It's almost like it's encouraging you to pick it up and...
It's tactile.
Yeah, and deal with those feelings, even the tough ones.
It's like a little ritual.
It is. It's like creating this little ritual around.
And that can make all the difference when it comes to consistency.
Absolutely. Because we all know life gets in the way sometimes. And you need that little something to be like, okay, come on.
Right.
Sit down.
Even 5 minutes.
I'm thinking about my cousin Emily. She went through a rough patch.
Oh, yeah.
After she lost her job. And she was carrying around a lot of shame and uncertainty, and she's always been a very private person.
Right.
But her career counselor suggested she try journaling. And at first she was like, hey, I don't know about this.
It can feel self-indulgent.
Yeah, like, is this really going to help? But she stuck with it. And she told me later that it was actually really therapeutic for her.
That's great.
Just having that private space to be totally honest with herself without anybody judging her or, giving her advice she didn't want.
Yeah.
And through that, she was able to like untangle all those anxieties.
Wow.
And eventually start thinking about, what she wanted to do next.
That's a great example of how powerful journaling can be.
It is. It's like you said before, it's about processing those emotions.
Giving them a voice.
Yeah. And sometimes writing it down is easier than saying it out loud, even to yourself.
Sometimes you can be more honest with yourself on paper.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So we've talked about healing, but what about growth? Like, how does journaling help you grow as a person?
Well, one thing our sources highlighted is the power of using prompts.
Prompts. Okay.
Yeah. Like specific questions to guide your thinking.
Oh, I see. So it's not just like free writing, whatever comes to mind.
Sometimes a little direction can be really helpful.
Okay. So like what kind of prompts are we talking about?
Well, things like, what's one thing you learned about yourself today?
Okay.
Or what's one small step you can take towards a long-term goal?
I like that.
Things that make you really think about where you are and where you want to be.
And how do those prompts actually translate into real personal growth?
Well, I think by engaging with those questions, you're basically shifting from just acknowledging where you are to actively envisioning who you want to be.
Oh, I see. So it's like you're setting an intention.
Exactly.
And then figuring out those concrete steps to get there.
And that's where things like numbered pages and a table of contents.
Oh, yeah, like in the Stallion journals.
Exactly.
Come in handy.
Because you can go back and see how your answers have changed over time.
Right. Like, am I still working towards the same goals?
Yes,
Have my priorities shifted?
You can track your own evolution.
Yeah. And I think that's really powerful to be able to look back and see how you've changed.
It turns your journal into a tool for self-assessment.
It does, yeah. It's not just a diary anymore.
Right.
It's like this roadmap.
It can be
of your personal journey.
Then it can be incredibly motivating.
Yeah. It reminds me of my friend David. He was feeling really lost.
Oh, yeah.
For a while, just kind of adrift. And he started using a guided journal with prompts that focused on his values and what he really wanted out of life.
That's great.
And he wasn't always great about writing every day.
Yeah, life happens.
But because his journal had a table of contents, he could easily go back and find his answers to those earlier prompts.
That's so helpful.
And over time, he started to see these patterns in his thinking. And it gave him the clarity to make some big changes in his life that ultimately made him a lot happier.
That's awesome.
It was amazing to see that transformation.
It's a great example of how guided reflection can lead to action.
It is. And it's not always about these huge epiphanies. Sometimes it's just about small steps. Yeah. And being consistent.
Consistency is key.
Now, let's be real for a second. Starting and keeping up a journaling habit can be tough.
It can be.
What are some of the biggest roadblocks people hit?
Well, I think inconsistency is a big one.
Yeah.
Life gets busy.
It does.
And it's easy to let journaling slide.
Right. Other things seem more urgent.
Exactly. And then there's the fear of vulnerability.
Okay.
Actually being honest with yourself on paper can be scary.
Like, what if somebody reads it?
You're right. Or what if you don't even like what you see?
Yeah. It's like you're really exposed.
And then there's a simple question of what do I even write?
Oh, yeah, the blank page.
Staring at that blank page can be paralyzing.
It can be so intimidating. So, any advice on how to deal with those challenges?
Well, I think starting small is really important.
Okay.
Don't try to write for an hour every day right off the bat.
Right.
Just commit to 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And make it a daily habit.
Build that muscle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for the vulnerability piece, remember that your journal is for your eyes only.
Right.
Nobody else has to see it.
It's your safe space.
It's your space to be completely yourself.
And mess up.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're struggling with what to write, try using prompts.
Okay.
Write about what you're grateful for.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Or just free write whatever pops into your head.
Just let it flow.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Don't edit.
And, sometimes even the way a journal is designed can make a difference.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like with the Stallion journals, they use these dashed lines on the pages.
Yeah, those are nice.
And the lines are a little wider apart. It's subtle, but it makes the page feel less intimidating.
Right. It's not so stark.
Exactly. And especially if you're new to journaling or you're feeling hesitant.
That can make it a lot easier to just start writing.
Yeah. It's like it's inviting you to put pen to paper.
Yeah, I know for me personally, when I first tried journaling, I was using this notebook with these super thin lines all crammed together.
I know,
It felt like I was back in school taking a test.
It makes you feel like you have to be perfect.
Exactly, and I ended up just giving up because it was such a chore.
Right.
But then I switched to a notebook that had more of a relaxed layout, kind of like those dashed lines, and it made a world of difference.
It just feels more freeing.
It felt like I could actually breathe.
Yeah.
And be myself on the page.
Exactly.
So let's talk more about those emotional benefits of journaling for healing. We talked about processing emotions, but the sources really emphasize how important it is to actually articulate those feelings.
Yeah, put them into words.
Yeah, because sometimes when you're feeling overwhelmed, you can't even make sense of what you're experiencing.
It's just a jumble of feelings.
Exactly. But writing them down forces you to make them concrete.
Yeah, you're giving them a shape.
And that can be really cathartic.
It could be like a release.
Yeah, like you're getting it out of your system.
And it can also help you to understand your emotions better.
Right, because now you're not just feeling them, you're
analyzing them.
You're analyzing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at them from a different perspective.
And that can lead to more self-awareness.
Absolutely. And again, I think the physical journal itself can play a role here.
Oh, interesting.
Like with Le Stallion, they talk a lot about the quality of their paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's this thick ivory paper, and they say it's really smooth to write on.
Yeah, even with fountain pens.
Even with fountain pens, yeah. And I know that might seem like a small detail.
Right.
But when you're trying to dig deep into your emotions, the last thing you want is to be distracted by ink bleeding through the page or the pen scratching.
It takes you out of the moment.
It does. It really does.
Right.
And you want to be fully present with those feelings.
You want to be able to focus on what you're feeling and what it means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about how journaling contributes to personal growth over time.
Yeah, this is a long game.
It's not a quick fix.
No.
So how does that work?
Well, I think regular journaling helps to cultivate a growth mindset.
Okay.
Because you're constantly reflecting on challenges, successes, lessons learned, and that strengthens your belief in your ability to learn and grow.
Like you see proof of your own progress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it also builds resilience.
Okay.
When you look back and see how you've handled tough situations in the past, it gives you confidence to face future challenges.
Like you've got this.
Right. And importantly, it helps with decision making.
Okay.
Because journaling allows you to understand your values and priorities better.
Oh, that makes sense. So you can make choices that are aligned with who you really are.
You're not just reacting to things, you're making conscious decisions.
It's like you're creating this archive of your personal journey.
And
I love that Le Stallion gives you so much space to do that.
Yeah, you have 211 pages.
211 pages? That's a lot of space for reflection. And they even have that little pocket in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can keep mementos.
It's a nice touch.
It is. It's like they're encouraging you to make this journal a part of your...
Yeah, to really personalize it.
Yeah, to personalize it and to document your growth.
It becomes a reflection of you.
Okay, so we've talked about all these benefits, but let's bring it all together now and focus on why a Le Stallion journal in particular, with all its specific features, is so good for this kind of healing and growth journaling.
Well, what's interesting is how the design choices really support everything we've been talking about.
Okay.
Like the thick paper prevents ink bleed, which is especially helpful when you're dealing with intense emotions.
Right. You don't want your words to get all smudged and messy.
Exactly. And the soft cover makes it feel really inviting.
Yeah, like you want to hold it.
You want to spend time with it.
And all those pages with the dashed lines give you plenty of space to write without being overwhelming.
Right? It's the perfect balance.
Yeah, and I love that little pocket in the back.
Me too.
It's like a little treasure chest.
For your journey.
Your journey, yeah. And then the numbered pages and table of contents.
So important for staying organized.
And being able to track your progress.
Exactly.
And those wider lines make it so much more comfortable to write.
They really thought of everything.
It seems like they did.
It's like they designed this journal specifically for this purpose.
Yeah, it's more than just a pretty notebook.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
For self-discovery.
So to wrap things up, what are your top tips for making journaling a really effective practice?
Well, first, find a dedicated time and space.
Okay.
Even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
Yeah, make it a ritual.
And don't be afraid to use prompts, especially when you're feeling stuck.
Right.
There are tons of great resources out there.
Oh, yeah.
And remember, consistency is key.
More important than writing a novel every day.
Exactly.
Just show up.
And revisit your past entries.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's where you'll really see your growth.
And be kind to yourself.
Your journal is a judgment-free zone.
So as we come to the end of our deep dive today, it's clear that journaling, especially with a well-designed tool like a Le Stallion, is so much more than just keeping a diary.
It's a powerful practice.
It's a way to heal, to grow.
To understand yourself.
Understand yourself better, yeah, and it gives you that safe space to process your emotions.
In a structure for self-reflection.
And it helps you overcome those roadblocks that can keep you from even starting.
It's all about using the power of words.
To heal and grow.
To shape your own story.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder.
Right.
Don't just think about what you want to achieve. Think about who you want to become.
Oh, I like that.
Through this process of journaling.
Powerful.
What kind of person will you be a year from now?
Yeah.
What will your journal say about you?
That's a great question to leave people with.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Until next time.
So yeah.
Keep exploring.